The human eye is amazing. Here's proof. Number 3 is incredible.
Number 8. Heterochromia. This awesome, unique feature comes in 2 forms. In ancient Greek, the word hetero means different, and chromia means color, so different eye color. We know it best when a person has eyes with irises of 2 different colors, often one brown and one blue. The famous conqueror Alexander the Great was described as being heterochromatic.
It even shows up in dogs and cats. Huskies in particular have a very high frequency of heterochromia.
There is a rarer form of the condition as well that gives a gradient of color within a single eye. One iris, 2 colors. Pretty strange. Someone's eye could be half blue and half hazel. It can come in halves, but it could even be concentric rings. One famous baroness, Rosika von Wertenstein, had brown eyes with a thin purple ring around the edge. These can be genetic or caused by certain illnesses, or even eye injuries or eye drops. Fewer than 200,000 people in the United States have heterochromia, so if you do, be proud of your unique eyes. Number 7. Albinism. The word albino is a term for people who were born without any melanin in their skin at all. They have extremely pale white skin and pinkish eyes. Of course, they need to be concerned with high risk of sunburn and skin cancer, and they may feel self-conscious because of how they look, but their eyes are particularly unique.
Without a special contact lens, it's pretty much impossible for human beings to have a red iris in their eyes. The one exception, albinistic people who do have these unique eyes.
It's not actually their irises that are red, rather their retinas at the back of the eye are visible through their colorless irises. They may suffer from photophobia or discomfort with bright light because their eyes lack pigmentation, so excessive light passes into their eyes. Surprisingly, though albinism is only seen in 1 in 20,000 people in America or Europe, 1 out of every 5,000 people in sub-Saharan Africa has the condition. It's even been reported as 1 in 1,000 in some places. Genetic factors have a lot to do with it. They may look incredibly unique and they have increased photosensitivity, but it's important for people with albinism to protect their eyes, as they can be easily damaged. Number 6. Polychoria. This one is incredible. Some people are born with not 1, but 2 or more pupils in their eyes. Yes, double pupils. It's not quite having 2 eyes in one eyeball, but it does look pretty astonishing. True polychoria is insanely rare, having 2 separate sets of muscles for operating 2 different pupils. Essentially, it would enable a person to focus on different things with the same eye.
I'm baffled thinking about how the human brain handles twice as much input from the same eye.
There are tons of tricks the brain plays with only 2 normal eyes to blend together the separate images to create one continuous field of vision. Now multiply that and imagine how their brains react. There is also something called pseudopolychoria, where there are multiple holes in the iris, but only one of them has the muscles necessary to operate as a complete pupil. These people get a bit of vision loss in bright light because of how the extra light shining through the extra holes in their irises washes out whatever they're looking at. It's important to note that none of these are the same thing as the fake condition pupilla duplex. That is a hoax that was going around on the internet where some people were reported to have 2 full irises and pupils in the eye. The closest thing is polychoria, which is impressive enough on its own. If you do have polychoria, you might be able to get into some important studies of the eye, especially if you think you can focus on more than one object at the same time. Humans may not have 3 eyes, unless you believe in certain spiritual traditions, but polychoria comes close. That would be incredible. Number 5. Qumola Kriya. This literally means tears of blood or crying blood. It can happen very rarely for some people, though it's more of a thing in horror movies than real life. If you do feel bleeding from your tear ducts, you should probably go straight to a hospital. Often, researchers can't quite figure out what causes this rare condition, but there are a number of famous cases. Some have been tied up in religious convictions, and one person named Twinkle Divedi was even on a number of TV shows and a documentary to get to the bottom of the blood.
Some folks claimed to feel a presence of something supernatural around this young woman and were uncomfortable being alone with her. Spooky.
It could be caused by certain hormonal imbalances as well, though there could be a simple injury like being hit in the head by a person or object. This is still one of the most mysterious medical conditions out there, and if you or someone you know consistently cries blood, they could become famous as a research case. Number 4, ultraviolet vision. This one isn't even a genetic power. You can get ultraviolet vision after surgery. I wouldn't recommend it, but here's the background. Patients who have their corneas surgically removed because of cataracts get them replaced with artificial ones. The cornea is the frontmost part of the eye, kind of like a clear covering that stops dirt and grit from getting into the pupil. This removal lets them see colors they ordinarily could never see. It goes from the edges of the visible light spectrum to the ultraviolet. This makes their perception of color way different. The famous painter Claude Monet actually had his lens removed about 100 years ago, and it allowed him to see into the ultraviolet spectrum and altered the way he painted. He was more inclined to paint in deeper blues and fewer reds. He saw the world as a more blue place.
Imagine going to an underground nightclub with UV vision. Those black lights would look crazy, and you thought things looked funny enough under a UV light already.
Often, though, people who have cataract surgery are told to wear dark sunglasses to protect their recovering eyes from the powerful ultraviolet light from the sun.
So the sun would look more purple, but it would be especially damaging to your eyes to look at it. Do not stare at the sun.
Number 3, Tetrachromats. This one is also extremely rare. Scientists have searched for years for a person or people who have an extra type of color receptor in their eye, and they found one in 2016. Most people are trichromats, which means they have 3 types of cone cells that can receive colors of light. Each one of the 3 types can distinguish about 100 shades of light, so when you mix it together, humans can distinguish about 1,000,000 different colors. Some people are colorblind, and one type of their cone cells doesn't work right, so they can only see 10,000 different colors as opposed to the 1,000,000 shades. But a few people have a unique 4th type of cone, which means that 100 million shades of color can be detected. Now, a lot of men are colorblind, which means they have 2 normal types of cone cell and 1 mutant type that doesn't work, but their mothers and daughters often have 3 normal types of cone cell and a 4th mutant type that doesn't work. That's fine, right? These moms of colorblind men still see the normal range of colors, unless one of them had working mutant cone cells, and as it turns out, one of them does. She can detect the difference between 3 different shades that normal people can't. Her extra cones work. What does this mean? Well, it's hard for us to tell. This woman might be unable to explain how her world looks different than ours, because she doesn't know how our world looks to us.
A superpower that you can't even properly explain. Reality is weird like that.
Number 2, supervision. 20/20 vision is normal, perfect vision, right? Not for Veronica Sider, who has eagle sight and can see something clearly a mile away. Her vision is so precise that she can see the 3 different little pips on each pixel of a television set, the 3 types of colors that make up each point on a TV screen. She can read signs from a mile away on a clear day. Most humans can see the same level of detail at 20 feet. 20/20 is normal. 2015 is very good vision. 2010 is fighter pilot vision. 22, though? Veronica Sider has 22 vision. She holds the Guinness World Record for seeing the smallest visible object. Despite all this, she still chooses to live a normal life as a dentist in Germany.
She could be the greatest airplane pilot of all time, but she wants a little bit of privacy. Perhaps that's her real gift, the wisdom to know that sometimes the spotlight isn't all it's cracked up to be. Now, for the number 1 superpower of the human eye, But first, if you like this video, peer on down to that thumbs up button, give it a click, and hit subscribe, and shout out in the comments below, what ocular superpower would you most like to have?
Number 1. X-ray vision. There is a Russian woman who claims to be able to see through people's skin and look at their organs and tissues. That's crazy, right? This woman, Natasha Demkina, has been on TV shows all over the world making diagnoses of people's medical issues because she says she can see into their bodies. This has to be a hoax, right? It's unclear. As a girl, she claimed she could see into her mother's body and started telling her about her organs. She started doing medical consultations for local people, and newspapers began to pick up the story. She started getting questioned by doctors in Russia and got brought to the United Kingdom to demonstrate her power. She has spotted metal pins and broken bones in a woman who had been in a car crash and noticed a sore ankle while interviewing a television host. But further experimentation in New York cast doubt on her claim. She definitely has the ability to detect some type of ailment or injury, but many skeptics call it the same kind of cold reading that psychics use to appear clairvoyant. Further tests in Japan showed she was able to diagnose a number of unique conditions.
It's hard to know the truth, but I'm intrigued. If she can really see into people's bodies like that, she could be the greatest advancement in modern medicine since the X-ray.
There really are some incredible humans out there.